Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is pavbhambra here for PSB Sports, and I'm once again very happy to say I'm joined on the line now by Joseph Parker's manager, David Higgins. David, how are you?
How are you? I'm good, and just to clarify, I'm Joseph Parker's promoter.
Apologies, correct. Promoter of Joseph Parker, David Higgins. Thank you very much, David. David, firstly, I know me and you caught up around 2 weeks ago now regarding the Joshua Parker negotiations, etc. David, how have things been then over the past fortnight? Any changes?
Look, the only changes are that the Parker side genuinely want to unify the division. Joseph Parker wants to unify and become undisputed heavyweight world champion, the first since probably Lennox Lewis. And so with that in mind, Joseph Parker side has made a few concessions to try and make a deal. We've got to a point where Anthony Joshua's side have drawn a line in the sand and said they won't move, and they're valuing the fight at barely more than a voluntary or sort of close to a mandatory, which ignores the fact that Joseph Parker is an unbeaten young heavyweight world champion with the WBO belt. But Joshua has said no, they won't move, which I think shows that he's all talk, cheap talk. You can't grandstand about wanting to unify the heavyweight division. My goal for 2018 is to unify the division, said Anthony Joshua, to fight Joseph Parker, to fight Deontay Wilder. Eddie Hearn has talked about how Anthony Joshua is already set up financially for life. So what's the excuse for not giving Parker a respectable 35%? That leaves Anthony Joshua with 65% of net profit. Now, and Parker, the unbeaten other world champion, would receive just 35%. That doesn't seem good enough for Anthony Joshua. He then goes on to say that it's about unification and legacy, he said. Well, is it really, Anthony Joshua, is it about unification and legacy? Then let's make the fight. Then he goes on about wanting to be the Roger Federer or the Nadal or the Messi of boxing. That really is delusional talk, because those three men have had long careers at the top. They're among the best in history. Joshua fought no one really to write home about yet, other than a win over an aging over 40 Klitschko. So he can't put himself in the same sentence as those men until he's had a long, distinguished career at the top and fought the best. Fought Parker, fought Wilder. If he fought them and won, then he could speak of himself in the same sentence as Federer. Otherwise, he's lost his mind. The other thing, could you imagine Roger Federer saying at the beginning of the year, I want to win all the Grand Slam titles, but then saying, oh no, I'm not going to do Wimbledon because I want an extra 4%. And, I'm not going to do the US Open because they're paying me a little bit less, or whatever. The point being, and then you've got the greats like Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson. The hallmarks of the greats is they fought the best, and they didn't quibble over money. I think Foreman and Ali got 50-50 for the Rumble in the Jungle. So Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn have carved out a little niche where they're selling out stadiums to brainwashed Anthony Joshua fans who think Joshua is the Messiah and unbeatable, with the help of the British media, who are scared to talk about all the times he's been flattened. Klitschko flattened him, while Dylan White flattened him I think in the amateurs, and there's video of him being flattened in numerous training camps. So this is a guy who's being flattened all the time, so he obviously has a dodgy chin, and he's refusing to fight the best, yet he's selling out stadiums. And so you've got to ask, why do Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn not want to make the fight with Parker and Wilder? Because they know it's probably a 50-50 fight, or more likely Joshua gets KO'd. And so they want to make their payday as big as possible. They want rematch clauses. They're making the deal complicated. They're dragging it out. But I think, they're exposed now. The tide is starting to turn. They're talking about they won't fight Wilder or Parker, and Parker doesn't accept a low ball offer. They'll take a voluntary. Well, I reckon they won't get away with the voluntary. I reckon it's to the point where if they took a voluntary and Pulev or something, they'll probably try pay Pulev a fixed fee in the very low millions, which is like a 90-10 deal, and they'll try to keep quiet what the split is. They won't want, knowing what the ratios are. And then, but I reckon it's the point where the fans will say, hang on a minute, why aren't you fighting the best? What's your excuse? You said you wanted to unify. And I think the British media have an obligation to analyse what Joshua is saying and hold him to account. I mean, this guy's talked about superior race. He's talked about his admiration for Robert Mugabe. He's talked about being the king of Dubai. I think Dubai have paid him money to go to Dubai to do his promotion. He was born in Watford in England. What the hell is the king of Dubai? So, but he sort of gets away with it. And I know Sky Sport are powerful, and Eddie and Anthony, but they've got away with building this bubble. Joshua's a bubble of hype, and as soon as he steps up to, say, Joseph Parker, we reckon he'll burst. It'll be like Audley Harrison, who was built up, and then once he got chinned, it was downhill from there. And we reckon that Anthony Joshua was nervous about Joseph Parker, so he should be. Joseph Parker's never been dropped, not once, not in training, not as an amateur, not as a professional, never. Granite chin. And Joshua suits Parker's style. Joshua comes forward. He's got the footwork of a tree. And so he's there for Joseph to hit. And don't get me wrong, Joshua will hit Joseph too. But Joseph's got a good chin. Joshua hasn't. So if they're trading, we reckon there's a good chance that Joshua gets laid out.
Okay, so David, obviously when me and you last spoke, and obviously as you've just said there, you guys said one thing you said to me which stood out was anything less than 35% is a slap in the face, essentially. So,
yep,
I mean,
we stand by that.
Yeah, sure. So, since then, what is the percentage of which Joshua's side and Eddie Hearn want? What are they proposing?
I won't say because Eddie's emails are confidential. You need to ask Eddie and Joshua that. And the other thing I've noticed, they don't talk much. Joshua doesn't do much media, and if he does, it's very controlled. It's either through his Twitter, which he writes, or Sky Sport. But he doesn't really open himself up to general media. Now, what's that about? Like, I'm doing interviews, Parker does interviews with everyone. Either A, they're trying to contrive and control the message, or B, they're so scared that Joshua will say the wrong thing, because several times he's opened his mouth, and it's whatever he said has been a bit nonsensical, and shows delusions of grandeur when he talks about Muhammad Ali and, Federer and that. He ain't nowhere near that echelon of athlete. So they're either gagging him to sort of control the message, create an image, or they're doing it because they're worried about what he's going to say. But I challenge Anthony Joshua to do full-scale interviews with the mainstream media and answer questions about unification, answer questions about what is a fair ratio for Joseph Parker as an unbeaten world champion, and answer questions about whether he really wants to unify, answer questions about those statements he's made in the media, and really put it on the line as all other athletes do in regular media interviews. I challenge Anthony Joshua to field questions from the general media.
So, David, I mean, so as you mentioned just now, you're essentially saying that the deal for Joshua Parker has essentially stalled. There hasn't really been.
It has. It's stalled, and the media are chasing us, but the media don't. They should chase Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn because they're the ones that have said they want to unify, and we've made the concessions, and we're not talk. We want to unify. And right now, they're all talk, and talk is cheap.
So, I mean, do you have any hope that this fight could? I mean, has this fight got a 50% plus chance of getting made, or are the figures not as high as you previously thought as a percentage of it getting made?
Answer. It depends on. It's all about fear and greed. Joshua's driven by fear and greed. He's scared that Joseph Parker will break his glass jaw. So that's fear, and he wants a bigger percentage of the pie than what is fair, and that's the greed kicking in. So Anthony Joshua's fear and greed are what's stopping the unification from happening.
Okay, fair enough. And David, sorry, just a few more things quickly. I know I saw in the media recently Eddie Hearn said that David Higgins should be flying out to the UK soon to finalise this Joshua Parker deal. So obviously, from what you've told me, you obviously aren't going to be coming over to the UK anytime soon then to finalise anything.
No, I was going to because we looked like we're heading for a deal, but then Anthony Joshua personally drew a line in the sand that was not close enough, and so I said I won't. There's no point in me flying to London if the gap is too big, or if they've signalled they won't negotiate. That's where it got to. They said that they won't negotiate any further, and so what I'm going to do in London, sit there and sort of pander to them. There's no point going unless they signal they're willing to compromise. So I'm ready to board a flight to London, but they have to signal that they're willing to negotiate and compromise and make a deal. And right now they've signalled the opposite.
David, what does Joseph make of all of this? What's his thoughts on the whole situation?
Joseph's a very patient man. He's not desperate for money, but he does want to unify. Absolutely wants to unify. And he's a principled man, and he has a feeling on what is fair and reasonable. And him, his family, our team, believe that we've already gone below where we, that threshold. I mean, quite rightly, we should be at 60-40. That would be quite respectable for the first global unification in about 10 years' time for two champions, right? But we've already come down below that, and you see Deontay Wilder looking for 50-50. So Joshua, frankly, has no excuses now, and the media should be asking him the questions.
And David, there's a lot of rumours going around on social media and Twitter that if the fight with Joshua Parker doesn't happen, that Joseph will subsequently face Lucas Brown. Is there any truth in that at all?
Oh, look, I won't go too much into. We've got 3 or 4 other options at different times. Lucas is definitely an option, and we're friendly with the camp and we're in talks and all that. But if Lucas took another fight, no skin off our nose, we have other options. But if not, then we could certainly look at putting that fight together to make a massive Trans-Tasman showdown.
Okay, well, David Higgins, thank you very much for your time. I'm sure, obviously, the boxing fans around the world can cross their fingers and hope, obviously, a deal is made for this absolutely massive heavyweight fight, David, between Joseph Parker and Anthony Joshua.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, David. All the best. Take care.